Hello and welcome to review of BattleTech, developed by Harebrained Schemes and published by Paradox Interactive. And BattleTech is a turn-based strategy game with big-ass mechs, and it's pretty awesome. So let's dive into the game, and I'll explain you some of the mechanics, show you a bit of the combat, and see what's good and what's not so good. So this is early on in the campaign, so there's no spoilers in this part. I carefully selected this portion where there's nothing too spoilery in this, so you don't need to worry about that. There's no missions that are for the storyline or anything in this point of time. So this is your ship, which you get basically immediately after the tutorial in the game, and this is where you manage your mercenary company, basically. So you are a mercenary in this game, and you need to worry about money, you need to worry about your mechs, you need to worry about your personnel and all the things, which is very similar to like how you do it in like XCOM games. You have soldiers, you have their gear and so on, and you need to worry about money and resources. So up here you can see for currently I have quite a lot of money because I just finished a story mission that gave me a ton of money. And you see timeline here, which is basically when you have mechs being repaired or refitted, it takes several days. Financial reports, every month you need to pay money, and if some people are wounded and so on, all of that will be on this list here. So as a mercenary we need to worry about finances. So we have a running cost currently, which depends on how many pilots you have, how many mechs you have, and so on. And it goes up and up and up and up. Also, you can choose 5 different monthly choices, basically, or between how much funding you want to put into your company, and that affects morale. If you pay like nothing, your morale goes down, and if you pay more, you get more morale. And morale affects. Morale gives you events based on the morale. So if you have bad morale, you're gonna have bad day. And morale also translates into the combat. It's your starting morale, and I'll show you how morale works in the combat once we get there. Then you have your mech tech, which is basically how quickly you refit or you repair your mechs. And then you have medical, which is basically how quickly your people will heal. And you can see where we are here. You can see the lower government. In each location, if there is a population, there are some systems in the star map that don't have anyone there. You can't use the store, but you can still always use the hiring hall. So let's go through all these options here quickly. So hiring hall is where you hire new mechs, and we can also take a look at the mechs here. Where you hire pilots, of course, not mechs. And this is where you hire pilots, and you have different pilots are kind of random where you go, and they have different abilities. So gunnery, piloting, guts, and tactics, which affect different things. Like gunnery is how well you will shoot, and it also depends which like special abilities your pilot will have. Like for example, these two pilots here who are a bit higher level, which I cannot actually hire because my rating is too low. He has multi-targeting, he has sensor lock and bulwark ability because they're higher levels characters. And yeah, that's pretty much the hiring hall. You get reputation. There's also a reputation system game, as you can see up from here. So there's 12 factions in the game, and also these regional governments. And you get reputation, and you lose reputation as well when you fight against them, or if you fail a mission, and you can also get reputation as you complete missions. And you get better gear discounts, and some missions are locked behind reputation gating, and it's actually a pretty good system to get different unlocks and different things. It's really fun to work for different factions. Also there's factions that are basically against you, so you will always be kind of negative against them. Then you have a command center, where you have Darius, who is one of the characters in the game, who tells you things, and then you have contracts. Let's not go into contracts yet. We're gonna talk about that when we go to the combat system. Then you have your mech warriors, which is basically the same as the hiring hall, but these are your hired guys, and you can level up your characters here. There's my ugly mage. You can create your own character. The other pilots are basically predefined, and you can't even change the name, which I wish. was a thing late, at some point, maybe post-release, allow me to change the name of these pilots, but there's no button or anything that allows you to do it. Well, I love naming my characters. For example, in XCOM, I have my viewers and loved ones be my crown bounders. But yeah, here you can see the more detailed information about the skills, the special abilities that you can unlock, what they do when you level them up, and you get experience as you do combat. And there's also other ways to gain experience as well outside of the combat. And then let's get to the more juicy part. So the mech pay. We're young. So these are my current mechs, very early on mechs in the game. And you can customize these the way you want. You can choose colors in the captain's quarters, and then you can choose patterns in here to change the colors on these mechs to do a bit of more customization, like how they look, and then you can refit these the way you want. So this is the customization window, and you can see up here like details of your mech, firepower and movement and all that. And then if you take out, like, for example, this PPC out of here, you see the firepower going down, average range and heat efficiency. So you have kind of information there. These are very customizable, which is really nice. You have limitations, so like up here you can see that this mech can have 0 ballistic weapons, 5 lasers, 1 missile, and 2 support weapons. And also for how many jump jets, of course. So this is the limitation of weapons on this mech, but they also are limited in which parts of the mech you can have. For example, this right torso here can have 2 energy hard points, same in here, plus 1 support weapon, 1 laser in the head, and missiles on the left torso. So you are limited by the layout of the mech, but you can freely put these wherever you want, basically, as long as you still have slots. And then you have parts like the heat sinks, jump jets, and whatever these. You can just drag them wherever you feel like. And it's really fun to customize these mechs just to your own liking. Like the game tells you, like, this is a sniper mech, and I'm like, this mech will make amazing frontliner. And you can customize them just the way you want. You have a tonnage limit, so each of these, like this PPC weighs 7 tons and takes 3 slots. So you can see there's the tonnage limit, and you can also add and remove armor on these parts, so you can play a lot with the tonnage weight as well. It's a really good system. It's really fun and very, very nice. And also this plays part into the whole mercenary thing, as you can't just magically get new mechs. You have to salvage them, and you can also buy parts and weapons from stores, but it's very limited what you get in stores, and then you are really limited on what you happen to loot during missions, and how badly you wreck your enemies depends on what will be there. If you blow up all of their weapons and their mechs into tiny bits, there's not much loot, and it's a really fun system of trying to salvage some scraps from enemies and then using them as your own mechs and on your own weapons, and then when you have that nice, very hard to get a weapon, for example, or a part in your mech, and it breaks in a combat, it's really, really rough, because once it breaks, it's gone. The mechs themselves cannot break fully; they just need to be repaired. So you never lose a mech when you have a mech. Just needs very expensive repairs that takes forever to do. But the parts themselves, like the lasers and whatever, they can be totally blown apart. And when you lose those rare, hard to get weapons, it's really, really rough. Let's go to navigation. So this is the star map of the game. So you can see this is actually part of the real BattleTech map, and it's somewhere in the southern side of the galactic map. So here you can see all these dots here are planets or star systems you can go to, and they have their different attributes. You can see the factions in here, so the 12 factions plus the planetary government. Actually, the planetary government is actually one of the 12, so 12 in total, and these are the nice and well-known Dragonist combines and all the factions you have in the game and in the BattleTech universe. So there's a lot to do with these increase their reputation and so on and so on. There's also differences with the attributes with this star system. So, for example, tropical world, you're gonna get tropical maps basically. There's moons, so you get moon missions and so on. So the planet's terrain affects like what you're gonna have. Also, there's stuff like black markets and manufactories and stuff like that, which will affect like what is being sold there, and also missions. And it's like there's a lot to take in just from the the star systems. There is a lot of star systems, as you can see. All these dots are places you can visit. So there's a lot to play with this, and also like what you're facing depends on where you go, and different factions feel different mechs and so on and so on. So there's a lot to this star system thing, and doing missions and contracts all over the place. Of course, there's the whole area where you do the campaign stuff as well. So about that, there's a campaign in this game, so which is this one, and then you have skirmishes that you can do against AI, do custom lances of your own for mechs, and then you can also play against other players with that skirmish system. Agree to a certain tonnage limit on your mechs, and then you can just really customize your squad and go at it against each other. And then lastly, you have the captain's quarters, where you can do your finances, see how money is going. You can check your reputation between different factions here, and then you can also customize your company here. You can choose your logo, you can choose your colors, you can paint your models in different ones. You can also add your own color logo or crests into the game if you feel like it. But yeah, let's go to the contracts now, and let's go and see a bit of the actual combat of the game. So in this game you have this contract system. Both of these are just random missions. This one tells me that it includes travel to a different system. They pay for it. Otherwise you have to pay money yourself between traveling. So grabbing a contract if you are going some certain way and getting that paid for you is quite nice. But we're going for the hold the line for this one, and you can see information about this here. So for example, this is by the planetary government, and you can see like information. We're fighting Canopian forces, which is one of the other factions, and we are defending a base in the lowlands, and difficulty on the skulls, very easy. And then how much money you can get max, and how much salvage you can get max, and then max reputation. And now comes the really fun part of the doing contracts. So you actually need to negotiate. It's like what do you want from this mission? So the max pay means you scroll this slider to the max, and you take all the money, but you get no salvage, no reputation really. Or you can go max salvage, and you don't get money, or you can get this one actually doesn't have the reputation, so you can't take reputation from this one, because it's a planetary government, so you can't really take the reputation, but the other factions you can. So you have to give up either money or salvage to get reputation, and you have, so it's this like, what do I need right now? Because like we have a lot of money at the moment, so we should probably go like a lot of salvage, or a bit of salvage and a bit of money. Do I want to pump up reputation on that faction to build up relations and get discounts and better missions from them, or what do I want? Also depending on the mission, it's like if you are going against a convoy, you might just want to take the money, because we are fighting a convoy, which means vehicles instead of mechs, so you don't probably want to loot any of the stuff on those vehicles, because it's basically just lasers and what they are, instead of nice mechs and more upgraded weapons and stuff like that. So it depends on the mission, like what you want, and also the situation, and I really like this system. Also in the salvage here, the 3 out of 14 means that you get 3 priority picks. So loot depends on how you, like I said, how you kill the enemies. So if you disable a mech just by killing a pilot quickly, you get 3 parts of that mech, which is required to build the mech yourself. If you shoot the legs off, it's basically disabled that way. You get 2 parts, and if you just destroy the mech, you get 1 part of the mech. So, and also what you blow off that mech, it's not gonna be in the loot table because it's broken. So depending on how you wreck them, you get a list of loot which you get to choose from. So 3 parts priority means that you can pick 3, and then you have 11 left over. So this is the total loot, and this is the priorities. So, and the rest of the 11 will be randomly assigned from that list. So you can pick a couple, and then you get the rest just randomized. Usually it's junk, because there's a whole huge list of lasers and heat sinks and jump jets and all kinds of junk, and there's like a couple nice mech parts, which you might want to pick, and then you might miss out on the rest. So it's a bit of random, and it's a really good system. It really forces you to think how you want to kill the enemies, and also what you really need right now and what you want to pick, and it's really cool. But let's just go into a mission, and here we are assigning our mechs. If you've played XCOM, this is basically the choose your soldiers and gear them up window. But since you've done mechs before, they're already laid out and everything. So we're gonna have Shadowhawk, Panther, Vindicator against, and actually we'll probably grab the Centurion there, and let's see. I don't think we're gonna grab the Panther after all. We're gonna take the other Shadowhawk. Yeah, actually let's take the Blackjack. And then pilots me there, these guys in there, and let's deploy. So one big problem in this game, at least in the this review version, it is released day today, so it's still not been made any better or anything, is that the loading times in this game are quite abysmally bad, to be honest. They're very long. I put my game on SSD, and especially later game with a long ass missions, big missions, it takes a while for the game to load, and there's other like performance hitches as well, and it seems that if you run the game long, like I've done almost 10-hour streams of this without pausing, it feels that the game starts to chug a bit, so you might have need to restart. So there's some kind of like a performance junkiness in there. It's not the greatest, and loading times can be really bad. This is an early game mission, so it's not too bad. And I did put this on my SSD to help the loading times, which definitely helps. So if you're playing this game and you have an SSD, put it on an SSD. Otherwise you'll be waiting a long time. Which also is part of annoyance in this game, because you have long loading time going into the mission, you have long loading time going out of the mission. And you are not supposed to win each mission in this game. So sometimes you do face, even if you take like a low difficulty, low skull rating mission, you might have enemies or a bad situation also. If bad luck, bad rolls on combat, and you will face a situation where you need to just withdraw your troops, and then sometimes it's even crappy because you can't see the map at first, like before the mission, and you can't see like the enemies before the mission, and you drop into the mission and you're like, well, there are 7 really strong mechs against my 4. There's no way I can win this. And basically, the best choice is to just withdraw immediately from that, or just load your game basically. And then you're like, peak loading time into the mission, out of the mission, and it's like I wasted my time. There's like a 15-20 minutes just wasted on that. So it's kind of annoying that the loading times are very long, and that's like my biggest annoyance in this game. But we are finally at the actual combat. So this is how the game looks to you most of the time. You're piloting 4 mechs, turn-based combat. If you played XCOMs, this has a very similar feel to XCOM in a lot of ways. So in this we are defending a base. So we're up here on the hill. That's another problem with this game is that I wish the map pool was a bit bigger. Because I've seen this mission several times now, after 40 hours of playing the game, this particular map. So there's a fairly decent sized map pool in the game, but if you play the game a lot, you're gonna see the same maps again and again. But it depends on the mission, and also seems to be a bit of random. Not on this one though, because it's defend a base in the top of the hill. But on other missions, you may spawn like on this side of the map and enemies spawn up here. You might spawn on this side of the map and enemies are here. So it at least uses the same maps, but has a bit of randomization or different variables where you start on a different part of the map. So it's kind of like fresh map in that sense. That so you play it from a different angle, and so basically it is exactly the same like the landscape, but you're engaging it from a different angle, which does affect how it feels. So in this mission we need to defend these buildings. We have our 4 pilots down here, and some information of our mech here. There's the eject button, we have guarded and the entrenched. One thing about this UI is that I really like the UI, but it doesn't make a really good effort of explaining itself. So there's a lot of like icons and things you can see here. Like for example, if I sprint my blackjack here, you can see that around the sprint thing there, you get these like thingies, and if I go further, I get 3. And this is evasion of the game. So evasion reduces enemies shooting on your guys. But it's stuff like this that aren't super well. The evasion is actually pretty well explained in the game. But there's a lot of like information in this UI that you kind of learn as you play, or hopefully figure out. But it doesn't really make good effort to explain things. Like I've seen people play the game and they're like, oh, there's an eject button in this game because it's hiding in the left box here, like just this small button there, and they're like 20-30 hours in the game, like, oh, there's an eject button, and there's a part, for example, in the storylines where you have to eject, but it's done automatically for you. So it would have been nicer if the game would have told you eject now, press this button. And there's a lot of stuff like tutorial-wise that they could have done to explain things a bit better. Abilities are not really like explained how they work. You need to figure out yourself, and that's part of the problem with this game in general. That BattleTech is a series of games and tabletop games and books and stuff. It's a massive world of like several decades of just games and everything. So there's a lot taken just mechanical in this game. There's a lot of depth in this game, which is really nice. But as it doesn't do a really good job of explaining itself, that can be really hard to get into, especially if you're a new player. And then you have 30 plus years of lore and everything that this game throws at you as well. So there's a lot like an information flow. There's like a tidal wave that you need to take in quickly. And if you are a veteran of these games, like the BattleTech universe, you know like what layouts are nice for different mechs and which mechs you should combine into a lance and all of that. But if you're a new player, it's a lot to learn and wander around, like what to actually do. But it's also fun. I mean, that means there's a lot of replayability and trying out different builds and seeing what works and what doesn't too well. So currently we are not in the actual combat, so we can move our troops freely. It is still turn-based, so I need to run these and then wait for the next turn, because enemies are moving as well. Once we actually find an enemy, this will turn into a bit different. So there is enemy contact now. So we see a blip on the map. Somewhere there is a red blip there. Enemies are moving. And now we get to the turn system of the game. So if you don't have visual contact but you have radar range, you see this red enemies running around. There's an enemy fire starter. He gets an evasive from running. So the 4 icons there. There's a spider coming in. And one more mech. These are very light mechs because they're acting so quickly. We have mostly medium mechs. These are mostly light mechs, so it should be okay. Right. So this is the turn system. So you have rounds, which is the overall round, and then each round has basically 5 of these turns. So depending on your mech's weight and depending on your piloting skills, it's basically your initiative when you're acting. So most light mechs, like these guys, act at the phase 4 there. Medium mechs, like our mechs, are at 3, then heavy mechs at 2, and assault mechs at 1. And then skills can improve your speed, and there's abilities that and things that slow you down. For example, knocking an enemy down slows them down by 1 turn. And you can put your mechs into reserve, and it puts all your mechs from that round into reserve, so you can see if I push this button, it pushes us to round 2. And it can be beneficial sometimes to delay your own move, like let the enemies come to you and then act, or a lot of situations where this is valid. But instead we are just gonna move our guys. So when you have your pilots in this, you can choose which one to use, and it goes back and forth. So if I move, if enemies had their units also in this one, which they don't right now because they moved before me, if I moved one of my units, I can choose which one and shot with it. Then the enemy moves one of his units in the same phase, and it goes back and forth like that. And then once everyone in that phase has been used or put in the reserve, it goes to the next one, and you do same one again, and then. Once everyone has done their turn for this turn, or around it goes back to the phase 5 again, and then it goes up from there. So that's the turn system of the game. And let's see. So they have Spider. So the Spider moved a lot. So they all have 4 evasion currently, which lowers my shooting skill. So for example, if we take an aim here, so down here you have the very similar buttons from XCOM. So we can aim at this enemy here. And you can see this is our weapon layout. So PPC is particle projector cannon, and it's a long range weapon. But we see that it's getting a minus shot modifier from the inspired and arm mounted, but it's getting obstructed by the terrain there. You can see the eye icon there. You can see the fire line and eye icon there. So it's obstructed. The enemy moved, so that's the evasion, and then target size. They're small mechs, so they're hard to hit. So only 30% chance to hit. And then same for the lasers and everything. They don't use any ammo. The missile launcher does use ammo, but it's very, very inaccurate. So you can shoot at the enemy, and every time you shoot someone, it lowers their evasion by 1. There's also sensor lock. I don't know if I have anyone with sensor lock in this team. Let's check. No, we don't. Yeah. Sensor lock removes 2 clips of evasion, and also makes the enemy visible for all of your people. Same for the enemies. So sometimes enemy will sensor lock you and fire missiles across the map with the long range missile launchers, because they get vision and they can do indirect fire with the LRMs at you. So it doesn't really matter which one we use here.
Good to go.
We'll try. Let's see. What do we have? You. Let's use my own guy in a Shadowhawk. So I'm gonna just move a bit closer, and all of these dots here are where you can move. You can also sprint for a bit further. You have jump jets, so I could actually jump jet over like there. And you can see some information here, like the white ones are just a move up to a normal ground. The green ones here is a forest, as it says on the left there, which provides me some cover and 25 damage reduction, which is quite nice. So we should probably stay in the forest. And you can also see when as you move your mouse and see where you can go, you can see the firing lines always to the enemy. And also if I go here, you can see it turns into like this arch. So this is indirect fire, and I could fire my LRM from behind this mountain. So terrain actually affects quite a lot how you can walk in there, and also you can use as like a line of sight blocker. And you also have like these forest as a cover. There's dust storms that are beneficial and harmful terrain. Like this is actually rough ground here that they're standing on, which makes them fall down easier. I'm just gonna move here. And then you can choose your facing on your mech. So you have facings in this game with the mechs. So you have front, sides, and the back. And depending how you're facing the enemies, like if I went like this and showed my butt to them, they would shoot my backside. But I couldn't shoot them. Also, this like the arc here depends on your weapon. So if I turn off, for example, the LRMs, you can see. Let's turn on the AC as well and the laser. You can see different like range meters here. They're kind of hard to see, but they are there. And it's depending on your weapons. Like you can see, it turned much bigger again when I turned on. So you can see like how far you can fire your weapons and how you're reaching the enemies with this. Let's go in there and take a shot at you. So I'm just gonna fire at him to lower his evasion. Now it doesn't matter. I just fire everything.
Whatever you say, boss.
You can choose which weapons you want to fire, and sometimes you have to choose your weapons which you want to fire because, well, accuracy might be crap because you have a mix of long range and close range weapons, so you might want to use either of those. But also there's this heat mechanic in the game, so as my mech fired, it got a bit of heat, which is this bar here, and if you go over this limit, you start to overheat and take structural damage from that, and if you go all the way in, you will shut down from the heat. So you sometimes you have so much weaponry, or if the terrain is like a desert or a moon or something where your heat sinks can't really work fully efficient, and you have like a laser mech, it will be really impossible to use all the weapons all the time because of the heat problem. There's also like flamer mechs that can flamethrower you, and then
Locking in all weapon systems.
that adds heat to you. I loved using, for example, a fire starter mech with 8 flamethrowers myself, and just jump jetting around the map and torching all the big mechs, and they're like, oh no, I can't do anything because I'm too hot, and they're like just running away. While this little dingy fire starter is just flamethrowering them. So now that I've reduced the spider's armor a bit, I think I'm gonna get you up the hill there, turn you around, or you're actually gonna just reverse a bit. And we're gonna use one of the abilities. So I talked about the morale in the ship, which is this thing here. So you gain a morale and lose morale in the ship, and then that morale gets transferred into your combat like this. And you also gain morale by killing enemies and all of that in combat. And you can use morale for abilities. So you have 2 abilities for that. You have Precision Strike, which allows you to aim to a specific body part, and it also increases your hit chance. And you have Vigilance, which keeps you guarded and entrenched, so halves your damage taken, and then it also increases your initiative, and it also removes your stability damage, which is nice. So if you take a lot of missiles to the face, which is this yellow bar here, if it gets all the way to the full, your mech will get fallen over. Also, if you blow up a lake, they will fall over as well, and the pilot will be damaged. But this one is actually pretty rough in shape. So up here you have structure and you have armor, and once you get rid of the armor, you're pretty much usually toast. And when you start taking structure damage, it damages your weapons and may blow up your ammo and, well, just kill the pilot. So we're gonna actually do a precision strike on this now that we reduced his evasion a bit, and now we have much better chance to hit. And you can see his this is the cold shot, so you can choose a target. You can use the precision strike to use cold shots, and also if enemy has fallen down on the ground because of a leg being broken or just knocked over from the stability damage, you can always do cold shots on them. So getting knocked over is really bad. You move very slowly because your initiative goes down, and then everyone else just gets cold shots on you. And usually when an enemy knocks your mech down, they're like just beelining to do cold shots at the mech on the ground, because it's very easy to kill that mech in that case. And usually when you get knocked down, especially early on in a turn, that usually is usually means death, or at least lots of parts are broken. But we are just taking cold shot on the torso here.
Locking on target.
And there we go. So that happens when you take a cold shot in the torso, especially on a small dingy mech. PPC to the face, and dead. And let's see. Centurion is a lot of missiles and lasers. So I'll just put you in there. I'm gonna fire these missiles. LRMs I mean, they're long range missiles, so you should probably not be this close with this. Let's actually fire the one in the back. Usually with the missiles, the hit chance doesn't really matter that much if it's low, because you are firing a lot of missiles, so hopefully at least a couple of them will hit. And it's good to just pepper them with some missiles to reduce their armor. And also lower the evasion. It doesn't really matter against these small mechs, because they always act before me, so they get pretty much max evasion because of that. But like if you have a, say, medium mechs at your whole team and you're against nice jump jetting. If you're against like a heavier mechs, you act before them, so then shooting them a lot and reducing their evasion is actually a good tactic. Oh, we have actually someone coming from the back. May have to go and deal with him so he doesn't destroy my base. Let's see. Do we have jump jets? Yeah. Let's do a. Can I? Ah, he's on a rock. I can't jump on him.
Waiting for orders.
I was thinking of meleeing him. And actually, with the jump jet, you can do death from above. So down here you have DFA, which is death from above, where you jump jump at the mech, And usually break your own legs doing that. But since he's on the rock there, I can't actually jet death from above him on him. We'll try that in a moment. But I think I might be milling this fire starter. Yeah, let's just go and punch this fire starter here. I have bigger mech, so punching is pretty good. There you go. There's your by right leg structure exposed, and he's gonna go knock down and lose his evasion and everything. So that's pretty bad news for him. So that was why my first mech for this turn knocks him over, breaks his leg. So that means cold shots galore coming up, and that guy is pretty much bye-bye. So here, since his leg is gone now, I can do cold shots. So here's an option for me. I could kill his other leg and disable the mech that way, or I could just shoot the center torso, which is much higher chance, which I might actually do because I don't really care about the fire starter. And it's a really high chance because he's down, he doesn't have evasion, and yeah, he's toast basically. Probably doesn't die from that shot, but then the next shot from my next pilot will likely wreck him. Also, we noticed there's a new enemy on the list there, and that's the one we saw running in the backyard, and he's a bit heavier mech, it seems. So he's toast. I think we'll get the next pilot going back to the other side to engage that other enemy. I think we have enough firepower to kill this spider next turn, so Behemoth here is just gonna sprint, take a sprint that way. And she'll have a lot of evasion because of running fully. There's actually more than one enemy there. There'll be 4 enemies. Nice.
Warning. Enemy in rear arc.
Shooting at my backside. That's not nice. But yeah, this is basically the combat of BattleTech. So you have that nice like a mercenary management, almost like a business management part of the game, and then you have this combat system, and they really nicely tie into each other, like much better than in the same certain games like XCOM, where you have basically the combat portion of the game, and then the base management and that stuff. While you do get loot and money in that game, in those games as well, and then you get to build things and all that and do research in base. I think it's more interwoven in this one because how the loot system works and everything. Like, you need to not destroy mechs too badly to get parts yourself, and then all of those choices between taking money, between taking reputation and salvage and big running costs. Like, the money is much more tighter in this game. It's easy to lose in this game. It's not an easy game. One bad mission, especially if you do Iron Man basically. You won't load or anything, and you just take punches as they come. If you're low on money and you get a really bad mission and you get wrecked, that's pretty much game over, because you don't have money to repair your mechs, you don't have pilots because they're wounded, you don't have replacement parts for your mechs, and you're just on this downward spiral of running out of things and then bankruptcy. And it can happen really easily, very quickly, and especially later in the game if you're not careful with your money. One bad mission and you're pretty much done. Let's see, can we... Oh, we can do that from above. Oh, we're totally doing that to end this. There we go. Just jump on this spider. Head destroy. It's pretty good. It's pretty good, this death from above. If you have melee weapons, or basically support weapons like flamers, machine guns, small lasers, they will be also used when you jump from death from above, or if you melee. And melee mechs are actually fairly decent if you can get to melee, but then you also do break your legs. Only 55 damage on my legs, so I could do 2 more jumps and then both of my legs would have blown up. But anyways, that's the combat of the BattleTech and my review. I highly recommend this game. If you like strategy games, turn-based games, XCOM type of games, big mechs, definitely get it. It does have, like I said, some performance issues. It has a bit bad time explaining things to you, but if you give it time and just learn the things, it's such a good game. It's such a good game, and I hope those issues hopefully get sorted out post-release patches. It's nothing game like a show-stopping. It's just a lot of loading times, bit of junkiness here and there, and then just hard to get into it because it doesn't really explain the mechanics and everything. And there's a lot of lore and things thrown at you, just need to absorb. But if you just carefully look at the tooltips and what's here and just take your time considering your moves, it's a damn good game. I can highly recommend this to check it out. But yeah, that's my review. So thank you for watching this review of the BattleTech by Harebrained Schemes and published by Paradox Interactive. If you like this review, check out the other reviews, let's plays, and everything else on the YouTube channel, and check out the live stream on nar.tv or twitch.tv/bellanar. And I'll see you guys next time. So bye bye.